everybody, this is Skate,
I am Moshin Mikey.
Rock and Roll Roundtable.
Absolutely. Our friends at Moshmin Media with another presentation of Rock and Roll Roundtable.
This week, 70s flashback, the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles. And we were just trying to discuss what we would want for the next episode. And it'd been a while for the 70s. And I thought, one of the most influential bands of the 70s, really, when you think about it, was the Eagles. And no, they're not our normal content like heavy, hard rock, even classic rock. Some people don't even call them classic rock. They call them soft rock or they call them country rock, kind of sort of. I don't care. I like the Eagles. And they in the 80s or the 70s, they were king, man. They were the kings of rock music. Just put it that way. Just rock music. But man, yeah, I enjoyed the week going back and listening to all the Eagles stuff. And their history is it's a pretty storied career, but they started in 1971 and they're from Los Angeles, which is weird. You kind of would have thought they were from a southern state or something, but they're from LA. And Glenn Fry and Don Henley and this Bernie Leadon and Randy Meisner, they started the Eagles in 1971, and the couple of the more famous people came later, like Don Felder joined in 74. Joe Walsh would come along in 75. He would replace Randy Meisner, and then Timothy B. Schmidt, who's the bass player now, replaced their bass player in 1977. All right,
Okay.
Meisner was on bass, excuse me. So Timothy B. Schmidt replaced him. They just lead on left. That's when Joe Walsh came in. And it's weird because I think of how big they were when that happened. Man, how would you leave a band in 75 that was crazy good? Did they get fired? I don't know. But I mean, you replaced him with a legend in Joe Walsh. So
Yeah.
you can't really go wrong.
Yeah.
And as far as Timothy B. Schmidt coming in on bass, that dude's got insane high backup vocals. He's a hell of a singer, actually. So it definitely worked out to their advantage. But I guess we'll just go through the 70s and the albums they did first. I listened to them all because I have more time this week. And once I got into it, I was like happy go lucky. But I'll be completely transparent and honest with everybody out there that most of the albums they have, the hits were the best songs by far. There's not really any hidden gems to really intrigue you with. But before we start going through the albums, what's your opinion of the Eagles in general?
Oh, fuck. Uh, Dad was a huge Eagles fan, so I was exposed to the Eagles most of my youth.
Yeah,
And uh, I'm going to be fucking frank and honest. There's a lot of Eagles music that I like, and there's a lot of Eagles music that just
yeah,
so
definitely,
for
yeah,
me it was when they hit their country roots. It was just it wasn't that it wasn't good. Well, again, all the talent in this band. It's not that the music wasn't good. It's just it was just so laid back and boring. I.
yeah, yeah,
So the songs that weren't hits were it just didn't. I'm like, well, I understand why that wasn't a hit, and
yeah,
so I'm skipping through because it's like I know that one, I know that one, I've heard that one so many times. So when I was going through my albums that I set for myself for homework, it was like okay, but I hadn't heard all the deep cuts. So
Right.
basically, a lot of the deep cuts were either too country or it was just one of those laid back songs that was just kind of drummers going,
Hmm. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've got a lot of love for the Eagles, but man, some of them songs were just a snooze fest.
Yeah. I mean that's it's honest. It's fair. I was exposed to a lot of the Eagles as a kid. Not so much my parents, but it was more my older sisters were really fans of the Eagles. A lot of my cousins were fans of the Eagles. And it was a certain album before I ever heard of who they were. But I went through this week and went from the debut album all the way through the last album, studio album they had. And some of the songs that are on the greatest hits album that exposed me to the Eagles are all on these first three albums, right? So the debut in 1972 had Take It Easy on it, which is still kind of a staple for country rock, southern rock. But the old Witchy Woman was on this one. And Witchy Woman was one that kind of creep up on you. You would just sing it when you didn't expect to be singing it. It was a different style of song. I think one of my favorite episodes of Seinfeld actually is when the guy had that magic song. He would hear Desperado and he would stare off into nowhere, and you couldn't bother him. He would get pissed. Well, Elaine tried to come up with a song herself, and she picked "Witchy Woman" of all things, you know. So just a little side note, but and then they get into the last hit on that album was a song kind of what you're saying, what you're talking about, mellow, peaceful, easy feeling. I mean, the song fit the music
Yeah,
100%. And it's like just so mellow, but very catchy, melodic, no extravagant guitar things going on in this part. So it was a good, solid debut album. But I hadn't heard of them because I was 4 years old, for one thing.
yeah,
I hadn't heard of them. We go to Desperado in '73. Now that's got the title track, of course. I think just about everybody's heard Desperado at one time or another. I don't care if you're hardcore metal, death metal maniac. You've probably heard Desperado. It's just
yeah.
one of those songs. But it also had like the weaker song, like Tequila Sunrise. It's just that, like Jimmy Buffett meets country music. It's kind of catchy, but it's like, no. Outlaw Man was a little more country related. That was
Yeah.
on that album too. Not a horrible album when I listened to it, but again, no hidden gems on it. I moved on to On the Border. It's in 1974. Had one of my favorite Eagles songs on it, Already Gone. I do like
Yep.
that song a lot. And Best of My Love, the real mellow. You're talking mellow there.
Yeah.
But it really had catchy again. And
Well,
James Dean was on this. I
I
didn't know
oh
about
yeah,
that.
I forgot about James Dean.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about it altogether too. It's like that. Yeah, that's kind of. I forgot that was the Eagles. I think. I think I knew the song, but I forgot it was the Eagles. But it was fun and it was a good song and all that. Um, one of these nights. Now this is one of the ones that you picked, right? And of course, the title track is pretty well known, but
Yeah.
I really like Lion Eyes on this one. The storytelling in Lion Eyes, big because it was country is known for you screwed around on me, you took my truck,
Yeah.
this was a story in that vein, but it was a little more complex. It was the guy that was getting cheated on by his wife, and all the chaos that's ensued, but he knew it. He kind of knew she was doing bad, and he could tell by looking at her. Her eyes would give it away. So it was a cool storytelling thing at that point. And Take It to the Limit is just too much for me, man. I mean, I can't say I hate that song, but it's so boring. I don't know how the drum. I don't think the drummer hits the snare 5 times. I don't think Henley. I don't know if he hits the snare 5 times in that song. It's like so slow and melodic, very harmonic. I mean, the harmonics of the vocals, the harmonizing was excellent. But yeah, it's a snooze fest. That's one of the hits that I didn't like. I actually
Okay.
didn't like that. So, what do you feel about that album?
Uh, for me, one of these nights hits more like rock. Uh, Too Many Hands, Hollywood Waltz, nah. Journey of the Sorcerer was kind of that was uh, an instrumental basically, so that
Yeah.
was cool. But it was kind of a trippy fucking. So for me, the Eagles really they were well rounded. I mean, they kind of hit a lot of different genres. Lion Eyes, for me, that one's kind of like
Well,
it's
it's
cool.
definitely
It's a
country.
cool story,
Yeah.
but I've heard that one so much. I'm like, eh, I don't.
Oh, I love that
Yeah.
song. I like that song.
Now, Take It to the Limit for me, I like that song. So that was one of the high points on this album for me. And I think it's just because of the way he sang it and the feeling that I got from it. So for me, that was a high point. Even though
Oh yeah,
it's fucking mellow as fuck. I'm
shit
like,
is the vocals. The
yeah.
vocals are top. They're
Oh
top
God,
notch.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
to me, that kind of brought that song back and said, there's really something to this, even though it's so fucking mellow. It's
Yeah,
just for me. It just I think it was the content of the song and the lyrics that kind of hit you.
that's
You know what
fair
I
enough.
mean?
Yeah, that's true. And it's like Peaceful Easy Feeling did that for me on the first one, but it
And
just
I like
didn't
that song.
translate.
I like that song, but it is way too ballady.
Oh yeah, yeah. There are a lot of ballads on here, but they're
Yeah,
all respectably done, so I can't
yes.
complain.
So I mean, pretty much the deep cuts on this, nothing, nothing really stood
Nothing
out.
stands out.
It was like okay, so that was for me. That was one of these nights.
Yeah.
So,
Now, when we were on a family trip. This is how I'll describe this. We was on a family trip to Kentucky, if I want to think right, and they parents, yeah, the kids are, well, we want to hear some music, blah blah blah. We're down there at these people's house we're staying with, my cousins, I believe, and they say, here, there's this new Eagles album. It was a full length album, vinyl. They pop on this greatest hits. It had the skull on it, the skull on the cover. It had the neat Eagles writing on it, like they had the
yeah,
Eagles spelled out like, and it's like greatest hits. I never heard of these jokers. I'm what 7, 8 years old at this time. So they start playing. I'm like, at that point, I listened to Kiss, but I also listened to the Bee Gees and yacht rock and anything my brothers and sisters had around me, I would listen to. I didn't hate any kind of music. My mom was Elvis, my mom was country, so I'd heard everything at this point. The poopery ADHD started early for me, and so I heard this album. I thought, man, that's kind of catchy stuff. That's groovy, Witchy Woman with the drums in it. I was like, wow. So that's where I discovered the Eagles for the very first time. And as an adult, I bought this out. And I mean, I have it on CD somewhere in my collection. And I didn't know this, so I was really looking up the Eagle stuff. That is the number one selling album in the United States of all time. That's mind blowing to me. 38 million copies of that. And it's like, now I see why, though, because take the first, what, 4 albums and take every hit off that and throw it in one package. And right about that time in 75, 76 era was when that music was really happening. You had Kiss and all that, but you also had the Bee Gees, the Saturday Night Fever, and then right plunk in the middle was bands like the Eagles, and they were a hit machine, hit after hit after hit, number one, number one, number one. So yeah, that album for me, it's still the best Eagles album in my opinion because it was so chock full of all the hits from the early days. Not saying that I didn't like the albums after that, but for me, that's the all time greatest album. It definitely deserves the hype it gets. If you're any kind of a soft rock music fan or slightly southern country kind of rock music fan, yeah, that did it for me. That was great. And right after that came the one that everybody seems to know the best. And the song Hotel California, that solo is absolutely insane. The guitar solo makes it for me. I'm not a guitar guy, but that back and forth solo, that big long solo at the end, but the content of the song itself was now that we're adults, we know it meant something completely different than what we thought it did when we were kids. And of course, we've all heard the uh, things about the album cover that are suspect, with the figure in the top of there. Who is it supposed to be? Mr. Crowley and all that. Who knows about any of that junk? I just know Hotel California was a kick ass album. But that song for me, dude, it's always going to be one of my favorite Eagles songs. But that solo was probably the best one ever, at anything they've ever done. That
Yeah.
back and forth solo, yeah.
Well,
And
wasn't Felder in on that one?
yeah, Felder was in the band then, and Joe Walsh was in the band. So there you had the two studs.
Yeah.
And Glenn Fry, I think Glenn Fry still played rhythm in that. And I think they've always had three guitar players, as far as I can tell. But yeah, that was just an awesome song. It's an awesome album. The mystique around the song itself, Hotel California, and the album cover, it all kind of led up to different things. And that was that's Don Henley at his best vocally too. I mean
Yeah.
that's a hell of a vocal performance. But it wasn't the only song on the album. I mean, New Kid in Town was a great song, and it was
Yep.
more of the mellow. And then they decided to kick it in a little bit too with Life in the Fast Lane. So and that had some cool bass shit in it. That's got some really
Yeah.
cool bass lines in Life in the Fast Lane. And that was more Glenn Fry showing his shit. It's like they had some good guitar stuff and all that. So yeah, that's one of the best albums ever. But it's still
Well,
not up there with the greatest hits for me. But I mean for normal people that don't like compilation or greatest hits albums, that might be the Eagles' creme de la creme, if you want to say that.
well,
I don't agree, but I think it's up there, but I don't agree. But a lot of people do because
there.
they've only
Yeah.
heard certain Eagles songs. So,
Fucking Hotel California. The title track is ultimate classic fucking 70s
oh yeah,
by far. New Kid in Town. It's the mid. It's kind of a mid tempo, still kind of laid back. Got some very tasty vocals in it. Life in the Fast Lane is it's a fuck. That's a rock song, dude. That's straight up rock. It's
yeah.
rock.
It's
So
got the slide guitar, but so does Aerosmith. It's like
at,
it's still a rock song.
adding in Felder and Walsh at this time brought the rock to the Eagles more
Yeah,
so,
more.
more so than what the earlier stuff was. Uh, Wasted Time, uh, eh. For me, it was like
Yeah,
eh. The Reprise, eh. Victim of Love was a good tune.
yeah. I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
That's a
Victim
hell
of
of a good
Love is a
tune.
good
Yeah,
tune, and I I mean, it had rock elements in it too, but it still kind of
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
country feel. You know what I'm saying? So it was that blend. It had a real good blend. Good song.
yeah,
Victim of
yeah,
Love
yeah.
is a good song. Pretty Maids all in a row. I was like, eh.
Yeah, I checked out on that. Yeah,
Try and Love Again. I That was kind of mellow.
yeah,
So it wasn't a bad song, but it was not. And the last resort was, so it's like you go out and you have fucking Life in the Fast Lane in this fucking album, and Hotel
yeah,
California in this album, and you go out with Last Resort. I didn't. I was just like, eh, eh. They should have
yeah.
put Life in the Fast Lane as the last fucking song, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, probably hindsight they might have, but
But
I get
they,
it that they.
eclectic fucking collection of musicians and music. It's well rounded. It's well rounded. Even though I didn't,
Yeah,
to me, this is not the greatest fucking album ever, track for
no,
track.
no, for me either. I mean, I think a lot of people think it is, and it's not. It's just
It's
not.
no, it's not.
But I tell you the truth, I thought "Life in the Fast Lane" when I was thinking back of Eagles songs. I didn't even remember it being on that album. I thought it was
Really.
on the next one. I thought it was on the next album, and it's like I don't know why I thought that. Maybe I just got confused. But the Long Run was the last album of the '70s and the last album for a long time for the. But man, it had some killer stuff. Not the title track was cool and all that. Heartache Tonight was probably the biggest, one of the bigger hits on this one, I would think. And it rocked pretty well. It was more like Southern rock at this point. They do songs like I Can't Tell You Why. It's a beautiful song, but man, it's like, oh my God, come on. But back then, when I was, 79, I was still a young kid. I just didn't appreciate how good it was musically until you
Yeah,
listen to it again as an adult. It's like they weren't aiming to be heavy. I judge too much shit by heaviness, and I shouldn't do that, but I'm guilty. And just listening to it this week, I'm like, man, these guys are some masterful fucking musicians,
yes,
man. And composing and the way they set songs up and the songwriting, it's like, as an adult person who has been in bands himself now, they are notch above what I ever imagined they were. It's
yeah,
like really that slow stuff's not easy to play. It doesn't make it easy just because it's slower and mellower. And especially on the vocalist. My God, they got to hit that high note stuff and the harmony's got to be on point. And I've never seen the Eagles in a performance or heard them on an album where it wasn't right there. It's like they don't miss.
yeah,
So yeah, that album, Long Run, wasn't on my big hit list. But when I listened to it this week, I was like, dude,
yeah.
I missed. I mean, really getting down to bare bones on this. I don't think there was any surprises unless you found some. I didn't find any B sides that blew me away, but those just the hits was pretty impressive on that album too.
Okay, so this was the last album that I listened to for this week, and there were so many good fucking songs. The Long Run, I Can't Tell You Why, like you said, In the City,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one
In
too.
the fucking
Yeah,
City, Joe
I
Walsh,
didn't write it down. Yeah,
dude, that fucking song, it's got fucking great guitar. I mean, they tore it up in that. The Disco Strangler was actually a good fucking tune as well.
yeah, yeah. That one I
And
can't
they
say that. Yeah,
dipped their toes into the little bit of a disco feel. King of Hollywood was mid.
yeah,
Heartache
man.
Tonight, you know,
Classic.
it's got that fucking almost like that anthem feel to it,
Oh yeah,
and the
absolutely.
vocals kicking in. somebody's gonna hurt someone. You know what I mean? And you're
Yeah.
just like going, that's a fucking another great. There was so many great songs. Those shoes,
Oh, yeah.
those shoes it's a solid, and it's got a little funky feel to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
The bass carries that fucking song, dude. The fucking bass
yeah, yeah,
carries
yeah.
those shoes. And the wah or the talk box that he's using,
The talk box,
the
yeah.
talk box part in that, fucking excellent. Teenage Jail was actually a good tune, but it was kind of it had a different feel to it too. So for me, I'm
Yeah.
going, God damn, the Greeks don't want no freaks was an up tempo song, and I'm like, I forgot about that fucking tune,
I
and
did forget about that
I'm
too.
bopping my head to it, going, God damn, and
I mean,
even
yeah,
The Sad Cafe at the fucking end, I'm like, solid song.
it's
So
solid. Yeah. I mean, all those were solid. It's just those shoes was like, I think I got so burned on that one that it was like, I kind of
yeah,
hit it. It's like, it was okay, but it was different for its time.
yeah.
I gotta say.
So really, for me, the fucking Long Run album uh, was better than fucking Hotel California for me, because
I
there was just more good stuff on this out. There was only the, King of Hollywood was kind of wasn't the greatest, but everything else on this, I was like, I remembered the song, remembered it well. This album got a lot of play. My dad played the fuck out of this album. That's why it must have
I,
so
I
much of
remember
it.
it. Yeah. I remember. Didn't they have just like the black cover on it?
Yeah, it
What
just
is
said
this
the
pure
long run
black
on it.
cover? Yeah.
Eagles, the long run, and it's like
Yeah.
that was their black album. And goddamn, if it
Yeah.
didn't fucking pay out, so many good songs. It's just it was solid. That fucking album
I
was
think,
solid.
yeah, I like the long run. That's the song. That's probably the best of them all. I really did, but I mean, I liked a lot of the other ones. It's not quite that high on my list. I don't know. It's pretty damn close, but I still like Hotel California a little better. But
Okay,
I don't think it compares to the greatest hits. But the long run, yeah, it was. It had flavors of different stuff in it for sure. I mean, Heartache Tonight, I can't tell you why. Those are polar opposite songs. So for a band like, well, when we played in the band together, we played whatever the hell we wanted to. And that's kind of what they did. But at the time in the 70s, if they wanted to do anything out of the box, they just went off and did it on their own. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
Joe Walsh had a solo album at that time with the "Life's Been Good" and all that on it. So it was like he was still doing his little bit heavier, not really much heavier, but definitely different, more guitar influenced stuff that he did on his own. But yeah, they just kind of ran the gamut between country and rock and said, whatever's in this wheel box here, we can do whatever. Make it
yeah,
five snares of a freaking song, or we can boost it up with Heartache Tonight or Life in the Fast Lane. Anything we want to do that's a little more juicy. And that's kind of one of the appeals I had, probably for the Eagles. And I liked every singer they had. They had multiple singers, so every
yes,
singer was good. And the guitars were fabulous. And even though I love good guitar solos, I don't mind at all. And I don't think there's a bad one on an Eagles record. I don't think there's a bad guitar solo of
yeah,
any kind. And not to mention, bass lines in certain songs are ringing out. They kind of let everybody have their spot and moment in the sun, if you will.
yeah,
Everybody has one of the different albums that you think, oh man, that guy's that. Well, that's a good one there. Oh, the singer's killing it here. That's a nice drum beat. It's like so everybody had their turn of being because it's star-studded band. I mean, as we would see later, they all go on to solo, except maybe Timothy B. Schmidt. I don't remember him ever having a solo thing, but I think everybody else did. From Walsh to Henley to Glenn Fry, to Don Felder. I think they all did something different outside of the Eagles because they broke up in 1980. And that was, you figure that's the end. But Joe Walsh is going on and having success. Glenn Fry comes out with, all the songs he had, Smuggler's Blues and The Heat Is On, and Don Henley. My God, how many hits did Don Henley have?
Yeah,
With Boys of Summer, with the song with Leather and Lace, I think it was Leather and
Stevie
Lace
Nicks.
with Stevie Nicks. He had plenty of stuff to do. Joe Walsh was, if he didn't want to do solo, he could go back and play some James Gang, or he could join other people and just jam. So yeah, they had plenty to keep themselves busy. But it was sad at the same time. It's like, oh man, the Eagles, this decade, yeah, but it's like you kind of wish they would have done some more stuff. Well, they heard all that, I guess, through all the grapevines and blah blah blah. That's when they decided to come out and do the Hell Freezes Over. And I remember the hype for that. I remember if you wanted to get a ticket to go see the Eagles, you better be on the phone for about 15 freaking days before Ticketmaster opens because you weren't going to get a ticket.
Yeah,
And I don't know anybody that got to go to Hell Freezes Over. I know a lot of people that wanted to. And it really, I think the album came out, but it was just a live album, if I'm not mistaken. I
I
didn't listen.
think.
Is it just a video or was it a live album? Or
I think it caught. I think that it was like one of those videos and album type deals. I
okay,
think so. I
because
because I stuck to
they
the '70s Eagles and did not
yeah, yeah.
go later in their career. So this is all you, brother.
Well, I just go from what I remember. I didn't remember there being new songs on there, but when I was listening to these albums this week, where the hell is Seven Bridges Road at? I mean, is that a new song for Hell Freezes Over? Did I
No,
miss
it
it
was
on
it
one of
was
the?
on it. So I remember I said you need to check out Eagles Greatest Hits Volume 2.
Yeah, yeah, I knew it was on that because I
Third
did check
track,
that out.
third track was Seven Bridges Road live. It was
Yeah,
live.
but I mean, that's what I mean. It wasn't on the studio album that I could
I
find.
don't remember seeing it on a
Yeah,
studio
and
album.
I looked all through when I was listening this week, I'm like, I know because that's one of my favorite songs they do live was Seven Bridges Road,
Yeah,
and Hell Freezes Over was so successful that I thought maybe they're going to come out and do the Eagles stuff again, but it didn't materialize. But they would still tour occasionally, from what I remember. They would go out and I'd hear about them every once in a while. Joe Schmo over here ain't getting tickets for that,
yeah,
because they were commanding beyond my pay grade kind of tickets. And
yes,
it's like I like the Eagles very much. I can almost say I love some of the Eagles stuff, but I'm not forking out that kind of money to go see anybody, much less, the Eagles. People I know did, though. They would get the money. And I really just didn't hear much about the Eagles until recently, and to be honest. But I think when 2007 that album came out, I don't even remember hype about it. I don't remember anything. So when I went to listen to it this week because I wanted to just see if I missed anything great. A couple songs on there were good. I mean, they did a cover of "How Long," which is a pretty cool song. The "How Long Has This Been Going On?" That kind of thing. And then
oh,
they
okay.
did one called "Busy Being Fabulous." I liked it a lot too. But the rest of the album was like the rest of the Eagles' career. It's like not too many B-side surprises or deep dives. And I think this was a double album too, dude. And I don't even remember most of the second track or the second disc. But I think some might have been some live stuff. I don't know. So that's kind of where I was at with the Eagles. And then they come up with this, here lately they're doing the farewell tour. But it's changed a lot because Glenn Fry died in 2016. Okay. So it wasn't going to be the same without Glenn. I mean, Don can sing a lot of the songs, true, but Glenn had that distinctive thing he did. So his son, Deacon, fills in for his dad to play with the Eagles.
Wow, wow.
And I think he was there. He was around doing shows with them till like 2022, and then he left. But now he came back when they decided they're doing this farewell tour, and it's been going on for like a year and a half.
Okay.
And that doesn't bother me. Like as a person who's against people coming back, if you never officially end the tour, I don't care how long you play.
Yeah.
And I just had some buddies. I was just telling you before the show. I had some guys I used to work with that just went out to Vegas and watched them in the Sphere out there. Just to see any show in the Sphere is going to be awesome. But to see the Eagles there would have been monumental, man. That would have been the coolest thing ever. I would have probably ponied up some money for that. I mean, to see them in the Sphere, I would think, yeah,
God damn, dude.
probably would.
That probably had to be an expensive fucking concert.
Oh
Honest
yeah,
to God,
oh
it
yeah.
had to be.
And then flying all the way to Vegas to do it, it's like, oh, I mean, if you got money, you got money, and these people have money, so they're good. But I'm just saying, I don't. I mean, if they were around here, it wouldn't be the same because it's not the Sphere. But and $300-400 for a concert seems crazy to us. But Taylor Swift is, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying $300 or $400 would seem high to us. So what
Yeah.
they're getting towards Taylor Swift kind of money is not in my wheelhouse. When I can pay that for 4-day festivals with hotels and all, I'm not paying that for a one night show. I like them, but I don't. I'm not going to go to my grave a sad man if I don't see them live. It's just how it is.
Well, Mike,
You
it
know.
kind of opens the door to. So the Eagles are a fucking legacy band. Okay, they've
Yeah. Oh
been
yeah.
around since the fucking 70s, like early fucking 70s, all the way to 2025. I mean, they have all the talent, the vocals, all that shit, the songwriting ability. They're huge, okay? And
No.
if they just want to do shows in the fucking summer for the next 5 fucking years and continue this tour, like you said, fine. But we know it's going to wind down and end.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely.
they still command the high dollar. They do. It's
Oh
just like
yeah.
uh, Billy Joel,
Elton John.
Elton
Yeah.
John, like these are icon concerts, and even the Black Sabbath show coming up. They just fucking talked about it today that they're going to broadcast it.
No. How much
So
is it going to cost?
you
Pay per
can
view.
watch. Yes, you can pay per view and watch the fucking concert. So we kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah. I thought maybe after it was over they would come out with something,
No,
sell
no,
DVDs or
no.
streams.
Well, they'll probably do that too because Ozzy, his final years, he's got to have that fucking last bit of fucking moolah to get him through
Yeah.
and to leave the
I
kids.
doubt. Yeah, I doubt if he needs it, but yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to have a little extra pad. But yeah,
But you know what I'm saying. So it's going to be
yeah,
huge. That fucking thing alone is going to be huge. So when the Eagles decide that they're going to do their final fucking show and call it quits, if they do the same kind of packaging for that, it's probably going to do pretty well. but not as well as if they would have fucking done a huge ending tour, say in the 2000s or 2010s, where
Yeah, yeah,
a lot of the Eagles fans were still around.
yeah. I mean, that's Gen Xers. We got to the party a little bit late for the Eagles. The Boomers are really
Yes.
the meat and potatoes of the Eagles, and it's like that's fine. But I wish they would have done. I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't go see them now if I had a chance for discounts or even the stream thing. If they do a stream thing, I would probably pony up couple $100 to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would. But I just wish it would have been with Glenn Fry was a lot. That's kind of the only bummer. But I mean, his son probably reasonable. I've never heard his son. I've never heard a live video or anything here in the last few years. But you still got Don Henley there. You still got Walls. You still got Timothy B. Schmidt. And the only other new one they have added is a phenomenal guitar player and singer, but he's purebred country and bluegrass. I mean, he played blue. Vince Gill's a stud, though. I mean, Vince Gill's been around for a long time. He has a great history in bluegrass as being as a stud and country music. He's a hit machine back in the 80s, 90s. So the lineup's really good. What they
Yeah.
have right now, I mean, Christ, you replace uh, Glenn Fry with this kid and you replace Don Felder with Vince Gill. I mean, yeah, it's not going to break anybody's heart. That's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wish them the best. I think they've cemented their legacy years ago.
Oh God.
I don't
Yes.
know I don't know how long they've been in the Hall of Fame. Probably a long time. And it's like I just think they're out there now because they not so much for a money grab like some of the bands. I think they just genuinely want to do it till they can't do it no more. And I'm okay with all that. But I'm not going to go to the ends of the earth to catch a show. But that's just me. Now, as far as the Eagles go with their people, I mean, like we talked a little bit about the solo careers they had and all that good stuff. I don't know that any of them, besides Joe Walsh for me, was a superstar outside of me. That could be up for debate. I mean, like I said, Glenn Fry had hits, Don Henley had hits, but Joe Walsh was a superstar when he got there. Basically, he'd already done the James game, so people knew him already, and he's had a solo career since the Eagles. He's had everything he does in the Eagles is fantastic. But I think the legacy for me for the Eagles is two things really pop out that they're masterful musicians. They're very catchy, melodic. Harmonies have always been brilliant. They're kind of the soft rock masters of the world to me. And I'm not even going to call them country rock. Soft rock, I think they beat everybody else. And they're the one lone thing that I hate about the Big Lebowski. As much as I love the Big Lebowski movie, and I'm a dude myself, is when he says he hates the fucking Eagles. That really irritated me. How can you hate the Eagles? How can you? I mean, I understand the love for CCR. Don't get me wrong. We could do a whole episode on CCR and be okay with that too. But the dude saying that was the only thing I didn't like about the movie. It sits in my craw. I don't know why. Don't have any reason to it. No madness, but yeah, that's my only issue with the Eagle.
Well,
That's
for me,
it.
I've never seen the Big Lebowski. Never.
That's shameful, man. That is shameful. That hurts. That hurts my
Never
soul.
seen it. Don't. Whatever. I guess I must
Yeah,
be missing something.
you're missing it, man. I'm telling you. I'm
So
telling you.
I'm like, eh. So that doesn't bother
No.
me. But I think it was they get played a lot, and I think what happens is you get burnt out on them playing the same fucking songs. And if they don't, like WTUE, for example,
Yeah.
has been our classic rock and roll station in our area for a long fucking time. And they
Yeah.
were playing the Eagles when the Eagles were new. Okay. And I
Hmm.
think maybe the Big Lebowski's bitch about the Eagles was it was just some stations probably play the staples and that's all they fucking play. So I could see getting a
Sure.
little burnout on just them playing this song and not going into a lot of their other material. Because there are a lot of great songs that get forgotten about.
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. There's
how
definitely
many
some that
tunes did
get
you
forgotten.
go, oh, well, I forgot that was there? Or it, greatest hits kind of puts everything together, but they
Yeah.
still don't play all the greatest hits.
No, and there's some that weren't included on the greatest hits that squeaked through. Like I don't think those shoes were on there
Yeah,
on either one. I don't think they were on either greatest hits, and that's a song a lot of people like and relate to and stuff. But yeah, I have my fair share of love for the Eagles. Now, do I listen to them on a regular basis? No, they're just not my everyday listening. But can I go somewhere and say sit to drink a couple beers and by a fire somewhere and play the Eagles? Absolutely.
yeah,
And it wouldn't miss a beat. Everybody would start singing because everybody's going to know them.
yeah,
Whether they are into them, they could be more metal than me. And you hear "Take It Easy," or because everybody knows "Standing on a Corner" in Winslow, Arizona. It's just an iconic "Girl, My Lord" on a flatbed Ford. That whole
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
country hick as it can be. Every metalhead like me still knows that. They still know it. And they probably dig it, even though they ain't gonna let their friends know.
yeah,
They're probably thinking, "Oh, that's pretty swift little line there, man. That's pretty cool."
yeah,
And I'm not afraid to say that I'm a big Eagles fan, but yeah, uh I'm not going flying to the Vegas to the Sphere to see them big.
yeah,
They're Columbus, Ohio, maybe, or even maybe Michigan or Indiana or Kentucky, somewhere reasonably close, I might have done it, but not. Yeah, I'm not going to spend 4 or 5 grand to do it. No.
yeah. Well, and again, you've got a stellar cast that made up this band from start to
Yeah.
where they're at now. The talent is always going to, it speaks for itself. So whether you love them, whether you hate them, the fucking Eagles were a great fucking band, and they had their moment where they really fucking shine, and now they're still playing the songs that made them what they were.
Yeah.
So
And the majority are still original members, so that's
yeah.
very cool that
So
they can do that.
if you get a chance to catch an Eagles show, you're not going to be disappointed. You're because they're probably going to play the greatest fucking hits, and it's going to be a good night. It's got to
Oh
be.
yeah, yeah,
It's got to be. Even if the stuff that I said was a snooze, there's still good songs. So you can't fucking go wrong. So pretty
yeah. Oh,
much
absolutely.
The Eagles speaks for themselves. Great fucking band.
Yeah,
Check them out. Dig up some of this older stuff to feel like an old man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. I always recommend the greatest hits 71 through 75. Because it's base Eagles, man. That's the base Eagles. But nothing, I mean, everything past that, but the Hotel California in the long run still epic, still good. These guys are a, an A- overall for me, which I don't give those out like candy. They're just solid enough, and it's like the musicianship and all that, the songwriting, and it's just incredible. I gotta be in the mood for them, but that's most music for me. So it's like when they're on their thing and when they're doing their thing, they're an A- band for me, and it's like I'll be damned. I'll take all the criticism, my man card or my metal card. Take your metal card away. I'm also a Maroon 5 fan. Come at me.
Yeah.
I don't care. I really don't care. So
Well,
it's like, yeah.
there's no shame in that game. I kind of
Oh,
consider
yeah.
him an A band, straight up A.
Yeah. No, that's cool. It's a little bit
So
ahead, but yeah, that's
you
it's
know,
fair. I can't argue it. No.
and for the most part, it the Eagles will always take me back to the '70s and being being around the parents when they were listening to their fucking records.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what
good.
I
That's
mean?
great memory. Great memories to have.
So again, it's fucking win-win. So for me, that's
Yeah.
probably why I'm giving it an A, is because the memories of that era and what was going on for me at that time, and it was just good music. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I concur, on that. We're both in the A's. So yeah, I think it's gonna might surprise some people, but really shouldn't because we are Gen X. This is our wheelhouse kind of music when we were young. And you never forget what you listened to when you were young. You might not listen to it now on a daily, every day, but I can listen to Cannibal Corpse and turn around and listen to the Eagles. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. It will never bother me.
Oh,
That's just how it is.
that's a
I
gear
enjoy
shifter.
being Yeah,
Whoa,
I enjoy
God
being
damn.
that way. I get most out of I get the best of both worlds with that. And it's fine. That's how I like it.
So, Mikey, what is your all-time favorite single Eagles track of all time? Just pick.
Track. That's a tough one. Oh man,
Do you
that's a
want to go
difficult.
album? Would you rather pick an
No, I
album?
mean the album's probably going to be the greatest hits. That's kind of boring. If you got one, go ahead. Let me fester on it for a minute because there's like three in contention right
God damn.
now. Yeah, it's tough, man.
I might go In the City. I think every time that would come on, I don't get tired of it.
Yeah,
Off the
I mean,
long run. In the
I guess
City, I always fucking dug that song. I think it was a little bit of catching it in the Warriors movie
yeah, the Warriors movie definitely helped
from
it.
the
Yeah,
Warriors, and for me, that it's just something about it. Even though there's all these other great tunes, but I think that was probably my all-time favorite. I'll just throw that out there.
that's
In the City.
that's very good. I think it's a battle right now between three for me, and I'm just gonna have to go with Take It Easy, I guess, because it's between Take It Easy, Already Gone, and the staple Hotel California. It was down to those three. I mean, I really like In the City. It's like that reminds me more of a Joe Walsh song. Don't know why. I mean, it just reminds me because he's doing the singing and stuff. I always just kind of associate it more with Joe Walsh than I do the Eagles per se, which is wrong, I know. But Take It Easy, very right off the bat, first song, first side, first album. It's got the classic beat, it's got the classic lyrics, and it defines the Eagles 100,000%.
Yeah.
Nobody ever knows, and it's been covered by I don't know how many people. Take It Easy. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that.
Okay.
Already Gone was close. Already Gone was right there too.
Yeah, for an Eagles song. It's a banger. It really fucking is.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really is. It's probably the guitar stuff from Walsh on In the City. Maybe that's what sealed the deal for me is playing guitar. It's like
yeah.
I'll get off the edge.
Yeah, that probably would have been, maybe even took the title. I just can't get past how I always think of it as Joe Walsh solo. I don't know
Yeah.
why, and it just I guess I'm shooting for something that tells me Eagles 100,000%, and Take It Easy is like Eagles theme song, if you want to call it that. And yeah, so we're both doing good. In the city, fucking kills too, man. I mean, it just kills. The Warriors. That makes it all better because that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
And it's like that was just perfect ending music for a movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I get goosebumps thinking about that. Man. That movie was so iconic.
Yeah.
And that music just perfect. We call the kiss, the chef's kiss, or whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely, whoever decided to do that thing is a star,
Yes.
stud.
All right, Mikey, you feel like wrapping this episode up?
Yeah, I think I've had enough of the taking it easy Eagles this week. I might have to go back and play some Amon Amarth and get my brain back in
And there you
kilter
go.
there.
I mean, you still have to enjoy it in the long run.
Oh yeah, or it'll be a heartache tonight if I
Yes,
don't.
yeah, if you know. All right, people, this is Skeet.
Notch and Mikey,
See ya.
peace out.